viewers, this is Paladin of Odin, and this is some more Magic the Gathering Online. This is another episode of the Standard Commentary Series, and it looks like we've got Red-Green Werewolves versus White Weenie. Uh, Werewolves is in a little bit of an underdog position here, no pun intended, just because of how fast White Weenie can be. Uh, you kind of have to have, your quick cards in hand to really be able to hold these guys off. But so far, Werewolves is doing what he can. Incendiary Flow is a very good card to play. Got rid of Kithian with it. He is facing off against another Kithian, however, but White Weenie can't make him indestructible. So he's got two 2/2 Town Gossip Mongers, a 3/2 Expedition Envoy, a 3/2 Kithian, and then he played, the Thalia's Lieutenant. The other side has Lambholt Pacifist and Gyre Reach Bandit. Now the Pacifist can block everything except for the 3 power guys and live. Though he could transform, no, because he has to tap him to do that. White Weenie's passing the turn. He's waiting for a more advantageous attack, because most likely he would have lost at least 2 of his creatures there. Now something from, another Incendiary Flow to get rid of another Kithian. Okay. Now, what I've been trying to say is, I think it was the last Werewolf video that I did, the player that was playing that deck had Lupine Prototype in his deck, and I was trying to postulate why you would play that card in Werewolves, because, it's not exactly the easiest card to play with. 2 generic for a 5/5 is very, very inviting, except for the whole, you have to have no hand, well, one player has to have no hand for him to be able to attack or block. White Weenie throws down Knight of the White Orchid. I was going to say White Knight of the Orchid, and then an Expedition Envoy. And as White Weenie typically does, they have very few lands, so White Knight, I did it again. Knight of the White Orchid gets him a land. But back to the prototype. One of you guys, one of the viewers, his name is Dallas Van Winkle. He pointed out that Lupine Prototype is actually a really good play with things like Moonlit Hunt, or a couple of other things related to that I thought of. Prey Upon, Clear Shot, and then something that I just realized today, why not, Eldritch Evolution as well? It's only a 2-drop, but Werewolves typically don't run a very high mana cost, so 2-drop plus 2, converted mana cost 4 or less, that's quite a few Werewolves that you could pick from. But Howlpack Resurgence is another really good card for Werewolves, especially when you can flash it into play to surprise your opponent with it. Another Lambholt Pacifist. But thanks to him for pointing that out, because honestly, I never would have thought of that. And that is a really good idea, because the prototype is ridiculously cheap. He's got 5 power and 5 toughness, and there's not a whole lot in Standard that can take a 5 power punch and survive. And at the very least, even if you lose your prototype, it's not really that big of a deal unless you've already run out of cards in your hand, because he can't attack or block. So even if you have to throw him at, something massive, you're trading. Now, again, he's not that great of a creature, and those cards make him very situational, but like I said in the last video, look at Werewolves right now. He's only got 1 card in his hand. He's got 5 mana, so potentially he could have no cards on his next turn. So Prototype is not outside of the realm of possibility of being useful in a Werewolf deck. But then again, in other, like I said, other fast aggressive decks. I mean, you could even run Lupine Prototype in White Weenie because, they're a fast aggressive deck, and one of the drawbacks is you run out of cards fast. So White Weenie has 2 Incited Rabbles. He has his Always Watching. He's only attacking in with the Incited Rabbles because they're both 4/5s. Double block with Lamholt Pacifists to kill off the Incited Rabble. Weenie is playing very carefully here because it won't take much for Werewolves to be able to kind of neuter his army and make Weenie highly ineffective. But at the same time, Werewolves has to keep drawing gas. But he plays nothing, which will get him transformed. He will now have a 5/4 and a 5/5. So now his Butcher can block the Incited Rabble and kill it 1-1. And if White Weenie doesn't have the mana to buff up his power, then it will be a trade. Oh, another Always Watching. That might be game. Let's see, 2 blockers. That's a guaranteed 8 damage through this turn, even if they trade 2 creatures each. Oh, White Weenie's playing defensive again. He's only going in with the Incited Rabble. He does not have the mana to Fire Breathe him, so it's only a 5/6. Oh, no, sorry, I thought he had declared his attackers already. He is going full aggressive, which is what I would do. Like I said, guaranteed 8 damage through, and at worst you lose 2 creatures. So, Butcher blocks the Knight of the White Orchid. Villadin Pack Alpha blocks the Expedition Envoy. He takes 9, but he kills 2 creatures and keeps one of his alive. So now he has a blocker for the next turn if that's the only thing he can do. So now would be a really good time to have something quite powerful. Kessig Prowler. He could transform that, and transform on these new cards you can do at any time. It doesn't say at a specific sorcery time or anything like that. But then again, well, he could flip it and it'd be a 5/5. Well, never mind. Werewolves concedes. Since White Weenie is such a fast deck, I'm going to try and get a game 2 in on this video, so let's go. Alright, turn 1 Kythian from White Weenie. Both sides did have to mulligan down to 6, so, they stay the same on the level. Though, honestly, being a card down, I think, hurts White Weenie a little bit more. But Incendiary Flow, very, very good card against White Weenie. Because typically, White Weenie's creatures do not have a toughness of even 3, for that matter. So Incendiary Flow is almost always a removal spell. A straight kill card. And then being able to exile it is nice, though White Weenie doesn't have any graveyard recursion that I can think of. Or at least none that gets played. Then, like I've talked about with Incendiary Flow before, if there's no creature to kill, it also hits players, which is really nice. So, double Throbbing Inspector, Knight of the White Orchid, and an Expedition Envoy. So White Weenie is rolling out his army as you'd expect, though, they're weenies, but these aren't exactly the best weenies that he has in his deck. Oh, no plays from Werewolves. That is very unfortunate. It's really too bad because the 2, if you can call them board clears in red, are Kozilek's Return and Radiant Flames. And at the moment, 2 damage is enough to kill all of these creatures. Town Gossip Monger. Thalia's Lieutenant. Well, this turn's gonna hurt. 2, 4. That's 10 damage. And now, if, for example, he had Kozilek's Return or Radiant Flames, that won't be enough. Pack Guardian. 4/3 Flash. And when it comes into play, if you discard a land, you get a 2/2 Wolf. Alright. Honestly, I don't know how good that card really is, but, in this situation, it's 2 blockers for the cost of 1, kills off 2 creatures, and the only creature he lost was a token. And, he has a 4/3, which at the moment is a pretty damn good blocker. About the only thing that can withstand that is the Knight of the White Orchid, and that's only because he has First Strike. But it looks like Werewolves is getting overwhelmed here. I would have expected him to play more creatures by now. Because as far as my knowledge goes with Werewolves, he could play pretty much any werewolf that's in his hand. So I would assume that he doesn't have any in his hand, or he's playing the tricky wolves like Pack Guardian or... Oh, what's that one? The one that comes into play and all other wolves get +0, +3. Can't remember what that one's called. Oh, another Thalia's Lieutenant. No? Yeah, that's the first Thalia's Lieutenant. Sorry, I was thinking of the last game. Inner Champions. Man, it really sucks that he wasn't able to get rid of the Town Gossip Monger, because now he can flip it if he feels like it. Griffspoon makes the Throbbing Inspector a 3/3 flyer, which is highly annoying because it's not easy for werewolves to deal with creatures outside of burn spells or, like I rambled on about earlier, the fighting type spells. Another Pack Guardian. Okay, so he can double block the Knight of the White Orchid. He does have to do it with the Pack Guardians, because if he did it with the Wolf token and a Pack Guardian, he could arrange it to first strike the Pack Guardian, and then the Wolf would deal 2 damage and not kill it. So, 1 Knight of the White Orchid dead. He did take 3 more damage from the Throbbing Inspector. Oh, and that's really unfortunate. I don't know what happened with his hand. It does look like he got 6 land, which slightly excessive. Werewolves doesn't exactly need that many lands, but it came in handy with the Pack Guardians. But also, I'm not exactly sold on the Pack Guardians. I'm not an expert on werewolves by any means, but personally, I don't know that it's good enough to take the place of another wolf card. But, that's just my opinion. It is kind of nice when you have an extra land to be able to throw it away and get a creature, but at the same time, that guy's taking up a slot that could be used for a better card if it's not already in his deck. But, again, I've been rambling for far too long. I'll end the video here. That was White Weenie versus Red-Green Werewolves, and if you liked what you saw, hit that like and subscribe button for me, and I'll see you in the next video.